This week on TGC News, a cheap suppressor that might not suck, a shotgun that might not suck, and a bolt carrier that might suck. Sharps Brothers offers some of the most unique and well-built AR-15 and AR-10 receivers around, with models like the Warthog, the Jack, the Hellbreaker, or even the classic-looking Mean Streak. You'll be sure to find something to fit your build. To learn more about these and all of the other products that they make, head over to sharpsbros.com. Welcome back to TGC News, the only gun news show that covers things you actually care about. My name is Jon Patton. This week we're kicking things off with a 12 gauge. You may already be familiar with a company called Standard Manufacturing, the purveyors of the DP12 side-by-side pump-action shotgun. I personally think that this thing is kind of a gimmick, but that's coming from a guy that owns some of the dumbest guns around. Standard Manufacturing is now taking pre-orders for their SKO line of shotguns that they announced back at SHOT Show in January. So what is the SKO? Well, we've seen this style before. AR-15 stock, fed from a detachable magazine, and covered in polymer furniture. It also has an 18.75-inch barrel and weighs in at just over 7.5 pounds. I gotta admit, I think this thing kind of looks badass. I also really like that it has that long rail on top, but maybe not for the reason that you're thinking. I personally like traditional vent rib shotguns, and with a rail like that on top, all I would do is put a front bead on the end of it and start crushing targets. Having seen a couple videos, it appears as though the recoil impulse on this thing is fairly low, and it seems to cycle low brass really well. Some semi-autos hate low brass, so if the production version can actually handle that and do it all the time, then it should be a really nice shooter. According to Standard, it will accept chokes from their other shotguns, but I couldn't find any info on whether or not those chokes were like a standard Rem choke or Benelli Beretta chokes. I don't know. Either way, for $1,100, you could get your own with an anticipated shipping date of June 19th of this year. What do you guys think of this thing? Are you waiting for reviews to see how good it is, or would you actually grab one on pre-order? Let me know down in the comments below. And in cheap suppressors will conquer all news, it seems that there is a growing trend of suppressors that are priced at what is traditionally looked at as cheap. We've seen them from no-name companies, cheaply made, and not really full auto rated typically. Well, enter Black Aces Tactical, a company best known for their 12 gauge firearms, just announcing their Po' Boy suppressors, the design of which is very simple. It's got a chromoly exterior with a stainless, straight baffle stack. The numbers on it are also fairly standard at a 134 decibel rating. And with a shot across the bow of QD manufacturers on their website, they confirm that this is also direct thread. All in all, it's a pretty simple concept. Here's how it wins though. It costs $199 and it's user serviceable with an AR-15 stock wrench. That's incredibly smart on their part. Why not use a tool that most guys already have, right? I have a feeling that as the suppressor market continues to adapt and grow, we will see a new breed of cans coming to life, and it's going to be incredible for the consumer. Hard use guys will still have their indestructible cans, and the casual users will have their price point cans. Every single time I talk about suppressors on this show, someone complains about the price. Why does this tube cost $1,100 or $800, etc.? Do you think $200 is cheap enough to calm the talk of it's just a tube and some baffles, why is it so expensive? Or will people still be unhappy with $200? The AR-15 Bolt Carrier Group, an ultra-common product that can be had in a ton of different versions, different materials, different weights, different cuts, different gas settings, etc., etc., etc. All in the name of making your gun run better. Depending on the results you're after, a lightweight bolt carrier may be the ticket, or maybe swapping the buffer to like a heavier version will help you kind of smooth things out. There's a ton of ways to tackle the massive recoil of a 223. Either way, we all do it, right? Everybody's out there to kind of flatten those guns out and make them run smooth. Enter a company called Master of Arms. They claim to have solved your recoil issues with their NICS bolt carrier group. Before we talk about the product, let me first explain that AR-15s are a game of timing. From the second the primer is struck, it's a matter of everything lining up perfectly to make the gun run smooth, efficient, and reliable. If the timing gets off, the gun might not run properly, it might kind of run rough, or it might not run at all. So the concept with the Nix BCG is to put a moving weight similar to like a dead blow hammer or even like a shake weight,
a spring-loaded workout device you pump with your arms,
on the inside of a bulk carrier group to help slow the movement in a controlled way. The concept makes sense to me, except for the fact that they picked titanium, which is a lighter metal, to make the carrier instead of steel when they're going to add weight anyway. What are they doing? It seems kind of counterintuitive. And there is one thing that absolutely terrifies me about this thing. It's the spring setup in the back. This appears to be a weight ball tossed in between a set of really tiny, fiddly springs. So what happens if something decides to let go? No one wants an upper receiver full of broken dreams and broken springs.
Glitter and broken dreams.
I've actually seen other products that tackle this concept a lot better, in my opinion, such as like the active recoil buffer from CTS Engineering. I did a review on it years ago, and that thing retails for $65. And I told you that price because even with a fancy BCG at like $200 plus that buffer, you're coming up on $300 pretty quick, right? Like, that's where you're going to end up with shipping and all that kind of stuff. Well, this bad boy from Master of Arms, the Nix BCG, retails at a whopping $525. I just don't think that there's any reason to pay that much. Maybe the thing is awesome, but does it really provide that much more value to the end user to justify that price? I doubt it. Hey, and if there's anyone out there feeling frisky and wants to buy one and test it out and let me know the results, please do. We can learn together. I talk all the time about having fun while you train. Well, RE Factor Tactical knows how to have fun with their Menace to Society target packs. Included are some of the most hated a-holes from the 21st century, like Gaddafi, Hussein, the boys and the father, and a bunch of others in the ISIS flag too, because F them, right? Whether you're just out there running drills, or if you just want to shoot them in the face, a lot, the Menace to Society targets can help. To get 10% off your entire order, click the link in the description to head over to refactortactical.com and use the code TGC10. And now for another GunTuber of the week. You know, we pick a channel and we highlight it and show you guys somebody who's out there doing something cool. This channel is called Shooting Stuff Australia, and the videos are made by two guys, Aaron and Marty. They've been making videos for a while and sharing their love of shooting from the opposite side of the earth. A lot of what they're legally allowed to do over there is much different than what we're used to, but I think it's awesome to see gun owners all over the world sharing their passion. Let's take a look at a clip of a few of their videos.
That was cool.
There is, of course, a link down in the description if you guys want to head over and check out their channel. And if you know a channel that needs to be featured on this segment, you can either post it down in the comments or send me a link via the friendly fire page on theguncollective.com.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Now for our good guy with a gun story for this week, which happened in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I love saying that. Which is a small town outside of Ann Arbor and Detroit. It's fairly simple this time. A 54-year-old dude comes up to a 62-year-old dude on the 200 block of North Normal Street in Ypsilanti and proceeds to demand money trying to rob the guy, right? It's a pretty cut and dry thing. The man who was robbing the guy had his hand partially in his pocket, according to reports, and it's believed that he had a gun. It was at that point that the 62-year-old man, a concealed pistol license holder, drew his gun and the suspect fled. Now, the thing that I want to ask you guys this week, without knowing 100% if the dude had a gun, did he do the right thing? I know my answer is that he did, because you only have a split second to decide to save your own life, but what do you think? Did he kind of jump the gun? Is this the right way to handle this situation? Also, if you see a story like this that you think needs to be featured here on the show, of course, send it my way. And unfortunately, that is it for this week's show. Guys, you know what to do. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you haven't yet, get subscribed because you won't want to miss a single week of the show. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. The shirts worn in today's episode of TGC News were provided by Patriot Patch Company. Click the link in the description to learn more.